This is Just Listen, hosted by George Goodman. Today is July 6th, 2026. Welcome to the podcast. I hope that everybody had a fantastic 4th of July. And remember, in my view, it was about the country, not about individual grievances of things that have happened in the country. Now that we have celebrated, people can go back to airing out their grievances. That's how it works. Okay, so today I want to talk about the U.S. federal government policy on the Supreme Court ruling on birthright citizenship. Now, we have talked about this before, but I want to dig into the details. Why? Because still the soundbite has taken over again. Now, I want to start with what the executive order says from the executive of the United States. His attorneys wrote up this and they submitted it and it was defeated. Okay, so focuses on the administration's expanded executive authority over independent agencies. Okay, so the role of an executive, and I want to say this real quick, the president of the United States is the executive over federal agencies in the country, plus or minus one or two. So they can exercise the authority for hiring, firing, policy, etc. So take a look at the other verdicts from the Supreme Court over executive authority. The reason that I'm mentioning is because with birthright citizenship, the soundbite kept saying, well, the executive, meaning President Trump, is exercising or trying to expand their powers. Now you have to decide if that part should even be in the conversation. Okay, so the executive order declared that U.S. born children would no longer be considered citizens at birth if neither parent is a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. This applied to children of undocumented immigrants and those with temporary legal status, such as student or tourist visa. So that's all it was. It's 4 lines, okay? And of course, they condensed it, but that was the essence of it. So they're no longer a U.S. citizen when the mother was unlawfully present in the U.S. and the father was neither a U.S. citizen nor a lawful permanent resident when the person was born. Second thing, when the mother was in the U.S. in temporary status, such as a student visa, work visa, tourist visas, or under the visa waiver program, and the father was neither a U.S. citizen nor a lawful permanent resident when the person was born. Why did I read that to you? Because the mainstream media doesn't get into the details. So, first thing, if you are a lawful permanent resident, your children are considered citizens. I'll say it again. Lawful permanent resident and some of the other types of people in the country, meaning their status, it doesn't apply to you. But people were told that it didn't matter if you were in the country from these various countries, that it didn't matter. Your kids were not U.S. citizens. That is just not true. So let's dig in a little bit more. So this became executive control, apparently, and you have to decide that too. Now, I knew that the Supreme Court would not affirm this executive order, and I'll tell you why at the end of this. So here's what the thinking was that the administration wanted it. So the administration has reinforced protections for immigrant families following earlier court rulings striking down executive orders that attempted to challenge birthright citizenship. No added hurdles. Federal policy prohibits agencies from requiring parents to prove permanent legal residency to secure standard documentation. Standard documentation. Federal government continues to recognize standard state-issued birth certificates as absolute proof of citizenship for passport, social security number, and federal benefit applications. Okay, so here's what the constitutionality is quickly here. So it's Trump versus Barbara. All right, and it was 6-3 ruling blocking the administration executive order, and you already knew that. Okay, so the constitutional majority said, Chief Justice said they ruled that the 14th Amendment's citizenship clause guarantees automatic citizenship to children born on American soil, affirming more than a century of legal precedent dating back to 1898, the United States versus Wong Kim Ark decision. And if you go through my podcast, I talk about that one. That was an important case. So that further proves that these issues have come up before, and the Supreme Court has affirmed what the Constitution and the constitutional amendments are talking about. Now, the other side, the dissent, expressed a highly restrictive view that the 14th Amendment was originally intended to apply primarily to formerly enslaved people and did not inherently extend to the children of foreign temporary visitors or undocumented migrants. So you have to decide if that's true or not. I would tell you my own opinion is we don't know what people who in the past passed this 14th Amendment. You can look at their notes and all that stuff, but we don't know that for sure. Why? Because they didn't say that. This is only for formerly enslaved people. Okay, we don't know that because they did not write that. So you decide if the dissent is a legitimate reason to affirm the executive order. And again, the courts ruled 6-3. All right. Now, here's what's happening now. So, push for congressional action. Do you realize that since 1971 or 1972, the United States Congress and the states have not ratified any amendments to the Constitution? Now, that says great things about our ancestors. At least back then, they were willing to do the work to make the change. And that is what is missing right now. So either side, if you really want that, push for it. Do the work. Because the three branches of government in the United States are the best model in the world. Why? Because if you disagreed with what the executive was doing in this case, you've won. You won. And the other side has to say, well, we need to push something through Congress. Now, doing a constitution amendment is hard work. And since 1972, the people of the United States have not required their elected officials to do these types of things. The last one that almost got passed was the Equal Rights Amendment. And the reason that it didn't get passed is because the politicians never pushed it after it got out of Congress, because it needs a certain amount of states to ratify it, meaning the people. So this is birthright citizenship. You tell me what you think. And as far as sound bites go, we really need to dig into the details of what people are trying to change. And also, our system works. The president was not allowed to do this executive order. He does not have absolute power. But that position can challenge stuff. That's part of his job. So let's look at the merits and the language of some of these executive orders and get away from saying, well, such and such hates this person and hates that person. That's not what it's about. It's trying to keep it fair for people coming into the United States. And also, it's about benefits. And I'll talk more about that in a different podcast. So that's where we're at on this particular issue with birthright citizenship. So have a great day, and we're out there. Please subscribe. Please share with other people. Share the knowledge. How's that sound? Have a great day.